Hello and welcome to the channel. In my last video, I talked about my rather spendthrifty summer. So today, for balance, I'm sharing 15 things I don't spend money on. So you'll finally know what a cheapskate I really am. Now do bear in mind, I've had pretty much zero social life for the last several years, so that saves me a fortune. I'm also not into gambling or gaming or really any kind of expensive hobby. So this list is more the common day-to-day sort of stuff that lots of people do spend money on. And if that's you, that's absolutely fine. There's no moral judgment here. We all have different priorities. I just thought it would be fun to share mine. And also remember, extremes and absolutes are never healthy. A little bit of flexibility is a good thing. So if you ever spot me in an airport with a glossy magazine in one hand and Starbucks in the other, cut me some slack, okay? And before we dive in, just a quick reminder to like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. Okay, let's go. Number one is what I'm going to call food and drink on the go. So this includes things like bottled water, takeaway coffee, and work lunches. Now, like I say, I do of course bend this rule occasionally, if I'm on holiday, for example, but generally speaking, tap water works fine for me. I usually carry a refillable bottle, and as for packed lunches, I think it's much cheaper and healthier and arguably more convenient than wasting half your lunch break queuing up for food. And in a similar vein, number two on the list is food delivery. Again, these things are a very rare treat in my world. In fact, I've only used a food delivery app once, and that was a couple of years ago to order a pizza on someone's birthday. And at €20, it was massively overpriced. Lidl's deluxe pizza for less than £4 is genuinely better. Now, number three is booze, or more specifically, wines and spirits. Largely because I just can't handle that shit anymore. I'd say on an average week, I drink about 4 of these tiny bottles of French lager from Aldi. So maybe it's a bit of a cheat to include booze on my no-spend list, but when I think about how much I used to spend on going out or buying bottles of wine, my current spending isn't worth writing home about. And I can't say I did this as a conscious choice to save money. It's just the closer I get to 50, the less I can handle wines and spirits. But my nearly teetotal life suits me really well. I've definitely got more energy, more mental clarity, and more money to spend on other things. Okay, number 4 on the list is gym membership. And maybe this is faulty logic, but several years ago, I was paying £20 a month in London for a really decent gym. The places I've lived since then have been charging 2 or 3 times that much for worse facilities. And just on principle, I won't do it. But during the pandemic, I got into home workouts following along to YouTube videos. And I realised not only is this saving me money, it's actually saving me time, and in some ways actually gives me more choice in terms of what I do, how long I do it, and when I do it. A bit more space would be really nice, but it's amazing what you can do in 2 square meters. And I figure as long as I can roll out my mat and throw in a few small accessories for variety, then I reckon I have enough to stay fairly fit. And if you want to know more about that, you can check out my fitness micro habits video. Next on the list is luxury hotels and holidays. Now, I've stayed in some pretty basic places during my travels, and my days of sharing a room with rodents and roaches are long gone. However, my needs are still fairly basic. A soft bed in a safe, clean space is really all I need. And a window and a private bathroom are really nice as well. But beyond that, I don't really care. I'd rather be out spending my time and money elsewhere. Next is holiday souvenirs, and I know plenty of people who always insist on getting souvenirs, And hey, if fridge magnets and novelty mugs genuinely bring you joy, then go for it. But that's not for me. If I happen to spot something I genuinely love, then I'll get it. But I don't go looking for things to buy, and I'm happy to leave empty-handed if nothing's caught my attention. Okay, let's talk about tech. In at number 7 is top-of-the-range gadgets and phone upgrades. You know those people who buy a new car every year or camp outside the Apple shop overnight to buy the latest iPhone? I will never be one of those people. I suppose, like many of the things on this list, I just don't perceive them as status symbols. To me, they're simply tools. Now, they are very useful tools and they need to be reliable, and to some degree you do get what you pay for. But for me, it's less about chasing the next shiny upgrade and more about getting as much life as I possibly can from each gadget. So I consider my needs, do my research, seek value for money, and if a gadget's still going strong years later, then why change it? In at number 8 are multiple subscriptions, and I do have to emphasise multiple there because I'd be lying if I said I never bought subscriptions. I do rely on the free stuff as much as possible, but there are 1 or 2 things I treat myself to. So when it comes to things like film and TV shows, I tend to wait until there are loads of things I want to watch on one platform and then have a month-long binge. Of course, I get my news online for free from multiple sources. And as for books, well, that's a really mixed bag of old and new and hard copy and digital and bought and borrowed. And because my life's quite full, I have been enjoying book summaries by Shortform these last few months, which is a fantastic resource for people who enjoy non-fiction books when you just want to get to the key ideas without all the fluff and padding. Now, I genuinely rate Shortform, which is why I'm happy to partner with them. They don't sponsor these videos, but I do have an affiliate link. This means a discount for you and a tiny kickback for me if you use the link in the description box. And a couple of books I'd recommend if you want to dive deeper into your own spending habits is The Psychology of Money and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. These books explain how our money behaviours are shaped by personal history and family background, and they're available on Shortform if you want the key insights without having to read the whole book. Oh, and please note, the QR code in my previous videos is no longer working. Really sorry, I don't know what went wrong, but this new QR code should work forever, and you can always click the link in the description box below. Okay, so the rest of this list is what I will refer to as the girly things. And in at number 9 is high-end makeup and skincare. Clean, clear, healthy skin is the goal, and you don't need to break the bank to do that. You just need a few sturdy basics. Same with makeup. I like to wear just enough to not look like a corpse. And there are lots of fantastic drugstore options out there these days, and honestly, I'm just too lazy to spend hours in front of the mirror every morning. And the same goes for things like hair and nails. I've never, ever understood the fixation with nails and manicures. I just like my nails looking clean and natural. That's my personal preference. And as for hair, I've experimented with different lengths and colours and styles over the years, but these days I just want the quickest, easiest hairstyle there is, which is scraped back into a bun or a ponytail. And that also means I can cut it myself because I don't need a specific style. And I don't dye my hair anymore because, again, too lazy. In at number 12 is jewellery. It's not something I'd ever choose to spend tons of money on. I'm just not that into it. There's definitely some styles of jewellery I love the look of, but then I don't enjoy wearing it. I just find it very faffy. You know, necklaces, bracelets, they end up catching on things, I end up fiddling with them. I can never get rings to fit my fingers, so that just leaves earrings. And let's just say they're not Van Cleef's. In at number 13 is perfume. I used to wear it sometimes when I was younger, but I've always thought it's a bit overhyped, to be honest, and I don't exactly have much reason to wear it these days. So I mean, really, my goal is just not to smell of anything. Number 14 is designer clothes and handbags, because logos and brand names have just never been my style. Now, that's not to say I don't appreciate good quality fabrics and tailoring, and if I had millions in the bank and maybe a more socially active lifestyle, that's probably something I would spend more money on. But out here in rural West Island, the goal is simply to stay warm and dry and comfortable, so I'm not exactly dressing to impress out here. And finally, at number 15 is cosmetic treatments. As I'm sure you can tell, this is a face free of Botox and fillers or any fancy facial treatment. Now, if you do spend money on that stuff, that's fine, I get it. There is tons of pressure to stay looking young, and we should all be free to choose how we want to age. But for me, I really genuinely have come to see aging as a privilege. And again, spending money on cosmetic treatments doesn't exactly align with my whole slow living vibe out in the countryside. So I am just gonna lean into my crone years and embrace that whole hag aesthetic. So there you have it, 15 things that not only keep my bank balance happy, but keep my life simple and my cupboards relatively clutter-free. So how about you? What's on your never spend or rarely spend list? Drop it in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to see how our priorities compare. As always, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. And remember, there is no right or wrong here. Spend on what brings you joy, skip what doesn't, because life's too short for buyer's remorse. See you next time.